feedback. I'm not going to discuss question 1 again on the, and as I said, for the benefit of everybody that's not present and those who have excused themselves yesterday, I'm recording this and I'll upload it this afternoon. I've done the rest of the uploading already. And we've done question 1, we've done question 2 with the inside audit takers. Question 3 was quite, question 9, because of the multiple choice questions that each counts as one question. For this particular question, I think what was necessary is you could select from any of those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 6 different choices. Most of the, let me say, the majority of you, I think about 60% plus, got the spot on. Just again, this is a guide and help to see where you got your marks and what is necessary. To name it and say, yes, customer retention and customer deletion is one of the functions. We need to know data about databases and have knowledge on our competitors, on the products that we offer, on the customers. That's how we embroidered on.
Sir,
yes, question. Julie?
Sorry, can I be excused really quickly? I missed a very important call.
Of course. You want me to? You want me to continue with the session, or
You can continue, sir. I'll be back in like 10 minutes when the call ends.
Sure,
yeah.
No problem.
Thank you, sir.
No problem at all. Thanks, Julius. Right, as we're saying to Julius, my apologies. These 6, I think, functions of modern of salespeople. You could. I'm just going to get to my screen and go for the full screen so I can actually see everything. You could select any 4 of these and explain it to me. That's the important thing. Don't just say, you second years, don't just say satisfy needs and values. What does that mean? What does it actually mean? It means that you need to firstly identify the customer's needs as accurately as possible. Make sure that you respect the values of the customer, and also then satisfy the customer's needs in such a ethical way that it stays within the boundaries of your values, the company's values, as well as the customer's values. That in a nutshell is basically somewhere along the lines of that is what I expected from this particular question. The question 10, primary responsibility for salespeople is to conclude a sale. I had a variety of this to increase sales. No, that's not correct. To increase sales is an objective of the company. It is not your prime responsibility. By completing a sale successfully, you will contribute towards the increase in sales, right? But that's not your main job. Your main job is not to increase sales. Your main job is to make sales so it can increase the company's sales. It sounds like a semantic issue, but it's not. If you look at it clearly, the objective of the company is to increase their sales by, say, 20% over a 5-year period, and they want to do that by cutting down on cost and increasing their sales volumes of their sales 4% per year for the next 3 years. That is an objective of the company, right? And that, in essence, comes down to increase of sales. But that's not the prime responsibility of a salesperson. Your job is to make a sale. It's simple as that. Right. Where can we find let's see. I'm just going to quickly just exit the full screen here. There's something else I just want to quickly add. I'm going to change to another monitor here because it's a bigger one. I want to be able to see everything. Over the age of 50, your eyesight goes, although you have good glasses, some days are better than others. So what I'm going to do is just going to go to a larger monitor so I can quickly have a look at or have a better look at what I'm telling you. Just bear with me for a second or two. I'll be finished just now. Radio. I think we're almost done. Question 10. We've done question 10.1. What's the main responsibility of a salesperson? We're going to go to question 10.2. And question 10.2 expects you to discuss and apply 7 of the secondary functions that you will carry out as a sales consultant for Florist Camp. Okay, what do you have to do apart from trying to make a sale? You have to source prospects, of course. You need that to make the sale, but you are constantly sourcing. Not everybody is going to necessarily buy from Florist Camp, but you need to source examples. Some of you said that you want to contact wedding planners to see if maybe you can contribute to or they can use you as a supplier for the flowers, and or if they are happy with their current supplier, or if they do have a current supplier, and or at least just add your name to the list for the wedding couple to choose from. All along those lines, source prospects, sales and profit success. You definitely are responsible for sales and profit this week. If you do your prime job, you're going to increase the sales, but you also need to ensure that you manage your expenses. Okay, no wastage and stuff like that. Database management and management, self-management, manage your time, because if you can't manage yourself, it's going to be difficult to manage your job as a sales consultant. Handle complaints, build relationships with your customers, provide services, additional services. They say, you know what, sir, we don't really have a delivery service, but it's fine. If you're prepared to wait for it for an hour or so, then I'm finished with work, and on my way back from work, I see that you're on the route that I take home anyway, so I'll just drop it for you. Okay, I'll do that delivery for you, or something like that. Just do any extra service, or maybe start providing that service and say, you know what, you've actually given us a good tip now. We are not delivering, but you know what, we might just add that now to all the services that we offer. Thank you very much for that. Implement sales and marketing strategies. You've got to know what the strategies of the business is, and you have to apply them in all your sales activities. Okay. If you're promising somebody a discount and it's not within the company's marketing strategy, it's going to come from your salary. They're going to deduct that from your salary. Simple as that. You didn't act within the boundaries of what you are permitted to do. The next question or questions was related to that case study of Tiki Tonga. Tiki Tonga, Brad Barrett, ex-Shark Center, who South African born but have British parents, eventually ended up playing for Saracens, one of the bigger clubs in England, and then represented England in quite a number of tests. Very successful, as a matter of fact. I think he might even at one stage captain England for 1 or 2 games of a test. But he decided that, you know what do we do when we're usually on tour and we're visiting? We're looking for the best coffee shops when we're in Australia. We're looking for the best coffee shops when we're in South Africa. We know that that caffeine boost is sometimes what we need in the morning. And people, especially, and I've played rugby myself many years ago in England, and Saracens were one of the clubs that we played against. But any club basically that you play against in England, usually the games, and in that was before they've got the artificial grounds and they had more than one field. All the games were played at the same time. So if the club had 2 fields, then the first and the second team played at the same time. That was 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and they all finished at the same time, and everybody was indoors, because we can't play 2 games in those wet conditions back to back, because the second game, the field will be in terrible condition. But anyway, one of the things that I know was very evident to me, even that, and I'm now talking about 30 odd years ago, was next to the field, there was always a buzz. Everybody had a cup of coffee. That was the stand that was most coffee and pancakes and sandwiches. That was in that cold, wet, dreary days that you have in England, which is 9 out of 10. But especially during winter, October to February. That's what people were looking for, and that's what people were buying at games. So it was a good incentive to say, you know what, we like our coffee, we like good coffee. Life's too short to have bad coffee. And he started the business Tiki Tonga, and obviously they have a presence in the stadium at Saracens, and then eventually decided to come abroad. Being from KZN, he decided to obviously expand to South Africa. There is a Tiki Tonga in I think in Umhlanga. I haven't been there myself, but apparently it's doing well. And again, when you expand your business, places that you're initially start with places that you're sort of familiar with, or that you have contacts that you can trust, because you can't be there every day and in London at the same time. Right, the question specifically to the case study. Suggest a target audience for Tiki Tonga. Now, here, the answers that I got was like more along the line of athletes and sports people. Now, you know what? Their business, although they have a presence at sports stadiums, are not just coffee specifically for sports people. It's coffee that's available to everybody, and therefore any coffee lover basically, and that includes business people, average Joes, housewives, sports people, basically anybody who loves coffee would be a potential target for Tiki Tonga. Describe 4 ways to build your customer relationships and offer advice to them on how they can build strong customer relationships with key accounts. For example, a key account would be Saracens, because that's where they started. Now, you can pick any 4 of the ones that I have on the screen there. You could have selected personal trust. Build confidence and reassurance. That's what building trust means in that particular brand. Technical support. Assist them if there are people who want to open maybe a coffee shop that stock their products, for instance. And I think the one in KZN is a franchise. And I think they are franchising the business. So assist them in setting it up, for instance, or if it's just an existing coffee shop who wants to now stock your product, your specific Tiki Tonga brand, assist them in how they can get with their orders, with their deliveries, with maybe training their baristas in all the different varieties of the product. Those are all technical support. Resource support. Maybe ensuring that you support them financially. They only have to start paying the 3rd month. Maybe the credit line extension is 90 days and not 60 days. Different service levels. Help them when they run promotions. Have somebody from the company be present. Do presentations on the different products. Assist with their marketing, for instance. Risk reduction. This is specifically where you, as the mother company, provide your customers with samples, for instance. People don't want to try a product if they're not sure what the benefits of the product is, and if they're going to like it. So sell by sampling. I tell you what, if you sample coffee, if you give somebody a free cup of coffee and they like it, you've got them hooked for life. Right, question 12. Distinguish between objectives, strategies, and tactics, and apply them to Tiki Tonga. Yesterday, when we discussed your assignment, because one of the questions on Win Worldwide and the product specifically that you have selected was related to setting corporate objectives for them. Here, I want you to differentiate. In other words, for 3 marks each, What is an objective? What is a strategy? What is a tactic? And we've discussed it before. I'm actually sometimes surprised that not too many of us actually do still clearly distinguish or know the difference between it. We said it yesterday, I'm going to say it again. An objective of a company is what you aim to achieve. That's your legacy. That's your footprint you want to leave. That's what you want to achieve with your business. That's why you opened the doors in the first place. So it's your mission. It's your vision. That's what the objective is. But also, obviously, to grow a business that is sustainable and that's going to grow over time. Then what you will do, obviously, is that this is, because it's the company objective, it acts as a guideline for what the staff need to do for this business to be successful and for the business to grow and be sustainable. In other words, that's your long-term mission, basically, so to speak. The strategies are medium to long-term, 3 to 5 year kind of plans on how to achieve your objective that you've set. Basically, and we discussed it yesterday, you have different strategies for different objectives. One for Tiki Tonga can be, for instance, to open in South Africa, initially just in KZN, but within 5 years, maybe in each province of the country, or all the coastal cities like Quebec and East London and Cape Town and Plett, for instance. The tactics, what are we going to do every day to ensure that we achieve the strategies that make our objectives possible? Right. Enough said about that. Question 13, suggest, with adequate motivation, which business philosophies Tiki Tonga follows? Now, business philosophies, remember from yesterday's discussion as well, could be sales orientated. Oh, sorry, jumped the gun on that one. Could be sales, could be customer, could be marketing, could be product, could be production. The one that and as I said here, if you motivated it correctly, or you motivated it sufficiently, I was quite okay with that, and you got your marks. The one that is most preferably the closest to a model answer would be the marketing or customer orientated one, because that is the market. That's the orientation that focuses on organizational goals, depending on focusing on organizational goals through satisfying the needs and the wants of the customers of the target markets, and delivering delivering in the needs and satisfying the needs of the customer in a satisfactory manner, and doing it better than our competitors. That's basically what the marketing customer orientation is about. And for Tiki Tonga, it could be that their products are created to meet the social and training needs as and wants of coffee lovers, and any other appropriate example that students actually add would have been sufficient here as well. Right. Next question, question 14. Question 14 said, explain the sales and marketing planning process. Well, that's quite simple. You're setting your objectives, you're determining the operations that's necessary to meet the objectives, you organize for action, you implement those plans of action, you measure against the standards that you have set in step number 1, and then you reevaluate and see, am I doing it right? Where can I improve? You do these 6 steps. For each of them, you've got a mark, and then when you apply them to Tiki Tonga, for instance, so setting objectives, what can be an objective for Tiki Tonga? Determining operations necessary to meet this. Correct. What are you going to do actually to achieve the objective we've set in step number 1? Okay. I think you get the message. I'm not going to necessarily embroider on that because it's quite straightforward. Question 15, motivate why Tiki Tonga should participate in exhibitions. In other words, what is an exhibition in the first place, and identify 4 characteristics of a good exhibition. Nobody had too many problems here. What is an exhibition? Basically, the definition at the top is tangible related sales settings. It's not sold for, that doesn't have the objective of making a sale, but actually just exposure. And for Tiki Tonga, that will be great because, I mean, they're getting the brand out there. They can actually meet potential customers, and that can sample their product. They can actually meet other people in the same industry as them and get ideas from them and share with them. And then a good exhibition cover any of the four: wide range of products, large number of competitors, good amount of information of the products, well-informed staff, large number of new products, close to where the potential buyer's base is, good exhibition hall facilities, always have people at the stand, have enough samples at the stand. Simple stands is always neat, not cluttered. You're not trying to make a sale. You're trying to expose people. That's why it's called exhibition. Expose people to mostly new products or services. Last question for 8 marks. Last question for 8 marks. Assume that Tiki Tonga has decided to export their business to 10 countries. Explain any 4 of the international selling factors which could affect the success of their products in these countries. You don't have to identify which countries. You just have to say, what do you have to consider when you open, when your business expands globally? Now, language is the first thing. Language, not just on the packaging itself or the packaging itself. It needs to, obviously, if it comes with certain instructions, it needs to be in all different languages, but also make sure that you understand the different challenges of providing the potential users or consumers of your coffee products in a country in their mother tongue. It's all good and well. English is seen as the international global language, but it's not. There are countries in which English is not even the third language. So just be very cautious of the fact that language is a very big challenge if you are not, if you have not put enough research and proper planning into it. The aesthetics. Some non-material cultural factors that can influence the development of the overseas market. For instance, different colors mean different things in different countries. In this case, for instance, make sure that the colors on the packaging, I've used the example before of the peanut butter, Black Cat peanut butter. Black Cat peanut butter because they the dominant image on the peanut butter jar is actually a black cat, red colors, and then the black cat. In some cultures, there was actually a belief that there are body parts of a cat inside that jar, and that's why they've avoided that. Okay, so just be aware of the meaning of some non-material cultural factors that all fall under aesthetics. Religion, very important. I don't think there are people who have, for some people, coffee is a religion, okay, for the real coffee lovers. But tongue-in-cheek, religion, I can't think of a religion that prohibits you from drinking coffee. But we have to just be aware of, and this obviously is not necessarily a factor that you would have chosen if we wanted you to provide an example related to Tiki Tonga, because it will be difficult to find an example. But along the lines of what I've just said, education is not just educating potential customers on the benefits of your product. It's also the level of sophistication of the consumers in the new country. If they are not well schooled and versed, it will be difficult sometimes to explain things to them. Even the instructions in a packet of coffee beans, on the back of a packet of coffee beans, for instance, might be difficult because of the level of sophistication, educational sophistication. An important factor to be aware of. So much more can be put into this, where you offer a service that makes sure that you identify the correct people to open the business for you and manage the business for you in the new country, that understands that different culture and religions in that country, including the levels of education and the language and aesthetics, because that makes it easier for you. Political factors, definitely, the different regulations on exports and imports, for instance, and the tax laws. And you've got to adhere to the regulations in the country that you are going to operate in, if we like it or not. But obviously, that's why some countries it's easier to have a presence than in others, because of less regulatory issues. Social organizations, it varies again from one culture to another. In the case of this particular product or products of Tikitanga, I know that coffee is something that is often linked to social gatherings, and therefore it will be good if you can use this as part of your promotion when you enter into a new country. General cultural attitudes and values. Make sure that you pick the right people to represent and sell your products in the new country. People who are cautious of the cultural differences and attitudes and values, and therefore are not trying to sell it in the same manner as they would probably have done in their country of residence. Okay, especially if, and we know, we've said it before, Americans have been labeled as being very loud and arrogant, but those are all only a very small percentage of the American population, as a matter of fact, and those are probably the ones that you actually have bumped into in South Africa who are visiting tourists. And then they obviously will be very loud, because obviously they're comparing everything that they see here with what they are used to, and then they become very, very brass. But I think my experience were that they are just very confident and very patriotic and proud of what they of being American, and they want to share. Actually, they are a likable bunch of people. Right, Larissa, how are you doing?
Hi, sir. I'm quite good, just busy.
You actually joined us right at the death of this. Jaleese was joined for the first session, and then she had to take a call. I'm not 100% sure if she's back yet, but I've continued with the recording, and I've finished the discussion of the test. So it probably at this point I'm going to say, listen, do you have any questions? But what questions would you have if you've just joined? Larissa, what I'm going to, and I've said to Jaleese at the start of the session as well, at this point I know that we are beyond knackered. I went for my vitamin B injections this morning, and I have to go back tomorrow and on Monday to complete the series, because we all run down. When we our iron levels have been depleted, and our immune systems are down, and that's what happens after 10 months of any year, and even more so with a challenging year like this, and especially now that we're in a period my apologies, where there's a lot of stress, because you have to focus on so many things, and there's so many things happening at the same time. It's assignments, it's tests, exams, it's class tests, and the list goes on, and it's almost, and we've discussed this before, as if it never stops. It just and that's why I went to the doctor yesterday and said, Doc, I mean, apart from this very irritating cough, I know I don't have COVID, because I mean, I've been vaccinated, and it's been more than 3 months since my second vaccination, and I'm actually good. And I'm to be honest with you, I'm more scared of getting it, and therefore I'm actually avoiding any situation. So the chances of it being that is not. But I woke up tired. I stayed tired the whole day. It's been going for 2 days. And he then said to me, vitamin B, vitamin D, you need to get it now. And not just what you get from your supplementation in the pharmacy, but comfort injection. That's quick. It's going to give you a boost, and then continue obviously with your supplementation like you always do. So Larissa, what we've done so far and what I've said so far today is that yesterday we completed the discussion of your assignment. We started with the test. Today I completed your term test discussion and feedback. The session has been recorded. It's still recording. And I have uploaded yesterday's recordings as well as the PDFs for the with the model answers for your assignment, and I'm going to do the same for your test. Just to update on your test and assignment results. My 5-minute break between the 6th period and the 7th period, I quickly checked my emails, and I saw emails coming through from our admin office, which is the last checkpoint before they load it onto the student manager. And then obviously the results will be available. And they've done it for F2s, and they're busy with the F3, so I'm pretty sure that the results for both your assessments would be available during the course of the day or tomorrow. Okay, so if there's any questions that you have specifically related to that, we have a session tomorrow afternoon. I will be available online to address any questions that you might have. I would like to also invite students to come to these sessions, or come to the session with specific work that are troubling them. I know that you have probably not gone through all 15 chapters that you have to prepare to see which ones you think you might be troubled with, and therefore have prepared questions. You're writing in 2 weeks' time, so that's definitely not on your priority list at the moment. So it's very difficult. Would you guys, and I would obviously post an announcement if it's, would you prefer to have another session before your exam somewhere during the study week next week? Because I can easily schedule a session, but then obviously it needs to be one that you guys want. And even if it's just 2 students, I don't care how many students. Would another session closer towards the end of next week be more valuable for you, do you think?
Yes, I think so, sir. But like relatively closer, because also we're writing the 3rd, the 5th, and I see we're writing SOP the 9th.
The 9th, yes.
Yes, so maybe like between the 5th and the 9th. I don't know if that's a weekend maybe, but let me just quickly check.
Let me just
because
check and see if it's a weekend. The 5th and the 9th. The 5th is a Friday. You're writing on a Tuesday, so yeah,
yes,
I can do Friday.
Then maybe the Monday, the 8th, before we write the Tuesday.
Okay. What I'm going to do is the following. I'm going to post an announcement, and you can share it on your WhatsApp group with the rest of the students. But I'll post it this afternoon and said, listen, guys, next week is study week, but you're only writing on the 9th. You are welcome to, at any point, contact me and say, sir, can we schedule a session? I'll send you the link. It's not a problem. If it's outside, obviously, the ones that you have links for already. But I'm going to suggest the 5th, the Friday, and I'm going to suggest the 8th, the Monday, and the specific time for us to discuss any challenges and do a final wrap-up before the test, and then students can select which one best suit them, and then we'll do that, and I'll send you the link. I think that's probably best, because I know at the moment we're doing things, and now you're going to forget about it, because as soon as your class is finished tomorrow, you're going to start focusing on the first 2 subjects that you write. You're not going to be working or worrying about the 4th subject that you write. Okay, so you're going to be focusing on your first week's exams. And it's completely understandable. So yeah, it makes sense. I'm happy with that. I don't have a problem to offer you additional sessions. But I've made a note now that I'm going to send post an announcement. Just to remind everybody, about extra session. Right. Okay. I'll post an announcement about that. Class tests available still for the rest of the day. I haven't checked this morning to see who else have written or who has written the class test number 4. But class test number 4 is still available for the rest of today until 12 o'clock tonight for you to complete. Larissa, any other questions? As I said, I'm not going to, there's nothing now, and I know that students, almost time away from class is more valuable to the students at the moment than actually time in class, because we've completed the curriculum and we've started with some of the prep, we've done the discussions of the 2 assessments. Students would like to say, you know what, actually, it will be nice if I can actually just do nothing or have the choice of doing nothing. Okay, so there is, you're off the hook, there's no additional or further session today. I'm not sure if Jaleese is back. Jaleese, are you back? Let me just check and see. I haven't opened everything. Jaleese, are you back? No, doesn't look like it. Okay, that was obviously a very important call because it took longer than the 10 minutes. But anyway, Larissa, I think if we can agree to that, then it's fine. Are you fine with that?
Yes, I think that's perfect. I think everyone is really, really burnt out. I think me and Warren actually wanted to set up an email to send to, I don't know, management or something, because we really, really hope next year does not work like this year. Like, I know most of the lecturers said that this year worked better than last semester or last year, but this year's management was the absolute worst for students. We can't manage everything all at once. I mean, we wrote, yes, our term tests we wrote, I think, like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and it was open book, and we had classes, and we had tests and assignments. So, and also they make the term test, we think that we don't necessarily need to study because it's open book, but we can't like not study because we only have 1 week for revision week or study week to catch up on everything, which is not enough to get a whole year's or a whole semester's work in 1 day per subject, because we have 6 modules. So we are just extremely overwhelmed, and we hope that they change the whole system next year. We really do.
I'm confident. The feedback I can provide you, we have engaged in an 11-week training every Monday, 8 o'clock. We have an hour of training, and the training is specifically focused on delivering to you and getting certain things standardized as to setting papers. If it's a formal test, it's going to be so many marks. It's going to be open book if it's in the first couple of weeks of the semester. If it's in the second week of the semester, or maybe 2 smaller tests, formal tests that one is open book, one is closed book. The closed book one is closer to your exam, so you actually prepare for your exam in that regard. The order in which do we do assignment first, do we do class test, or do we do term test first? So it's all been discussed, and we've had wonderful progress so far. So I can say yes, some of the issues that you've listed have already been addressed and will definitely be done differently next year, based on feedback that was received from students on the ground to say this is what you're battling with. And also, I think if you're battling with it, we're battling with it too. So I can say that there's been some very proactive progression already towards next year, to ensure that we do not, there will always be some form of burnout, but a more manageable format, I think, would suit everybody. And I can, at this stage, based on the 4 sessions that we've had already, 7 to go still to the end of the year,
Yes,
that we are making very good progress in ensuring that you guys are managed better, because if you manage better, our lives will be better as well. But yeah, they've definitely listened. But it's nothing wrong with keep on reminding them of it. So I'm pretty sure that the rollout next year will be a more suitable one for everybody involved.
So do you know if we'll be going back to campus more frequently next year?
That decision has not been formalized. I'm convinced that it will be, because I think it has proven that that interaction is very valuable for the majority of students. Having said that, we obviously have to consider the circumstances of everybody. It's not a situation of the tail wagging the dog, but I think if the majority of students want to return,
Yes.
and it will, and the COVID regulations allow it, it's probably going to be the case. With the option, then obviously to students who are in a difficult situation, based off what has happened to their domestic situation in the last 2 years, that impact on them being on campus every day as it was prior to COVID. There will always be, and as I said previously, the intention of Stadio was always to create a learning environment that embraces blended learning. So there will always be blended learning, but I think what they initially envisaged when they started off was to have full contact sessions, but all the sessions are recorded. So if you miss a class, you can still watch the recording, which was not the case prior to COVID. Prior to COVID, you miss a class, you have to get your notes from a friend. Now, at least that session is recorded, but there's so much value in the energy that a contact session brings, and I think that interaction we all missed, and I think that's I think we all would love that to be the case, but no official decision has been made to say from next year on, when we start our classes, everything is on campus. Okay, so we're in the process of finalizing that. I know that they suggested in Monday's meeting that by end of this week, we'll have an idea of who's teaching which subjects next year in the first semester, because we need to start planning. There are certain deadlines that they want us to achieve by 10th of December in preparation for next year, because that was not the case last year, because we went through a transition from Prestige to Stadio basically between November and end of January. And I think that's what aided to everybody's burned out state at the moment. If everything can be, if all the planning and all the preparation and all the exam papers and all the tests and all the assignments could be completed and set by the time that we close in December, it's going to, you can from that immediately also just you can take from that that just implicates that everybody will be more at ease when they start the year and not rushing through getting to know new systems, because we've come a long way since January in that regard. You as students as well, you are better prepared on what the new system is capable of doing and what it expects of you, and so are we. And I think if we can just get to that point in December, I'm going to be happy to say, goodness, planning for next year is fine for the first 6 months. And then we can come back in January and we can plan for the second semester for next year. So those are things are all in place. It's been discussed. So there is definitely huge progression to improve on what the rollout format was this year.
Yes, we'd like to come back next year. Like, we wanted to come back this year already, because we feel like they can't use COVID as an excuse anymore, because the whole Stellenbosch University is also going back next year to campus. And I mean, we're like not even a third of Stellenbosch. So if they can do it, we feel like we can do it as well, because we want contact learning. Like, we know they decided they want to move like both like online and in class, but that's not what we signed up for. Like, they still need to give us our money's worth, and they're not doing that at the moment.
That is true, and that is obviously very much circumstantial, but the fact is that we are a registered higher institution that offer contact sessions, and therefore
Yes.
when we are permitted to have full capacity campus, then we will, and it's not going to return. When Stadio or the transition to Stadio happened, it wasn't like, okay, right, now we're going to do this whole new blended learning thing and forget what happened in the past. It's still a registered institution offering contact sessions. That's why they're building new campuses. They built a new campus in Centurion, and they're building a new campus in Belleville.
Yeah.
So that is an indication that they want the contact as well. They want the full-on student experience.
Yes, that would be great.
It is
especially next year.
Yeah, it's just such a I feel so bad for the grade 11s, grade 12s, and first year students of the last 2 years, because they've missed out on so many very important events in your learning journey, with your school and with your college and with your university. So for us, yeah, I would, if I can go back to campus tomorrow full time every day, I'll do that. But yeah, I'm quite confident that that will be the case from next year. And I saw this morning at UCT has also announced that no staff, no students can come back to campus next year if they have not been vaccinated.
Yes,
And
we'll obviously probably need to be vaccinated next year.
Exactly, but I think, and it's probably going to be the case, and I can see that there's going to be a rush after the matric exam for everybody to do that and get at least that one jab, one Pfizer jab, so they are permitted on a campus. But obviously, some of the regulations will stay. The masks are never going to disappear immediately. I can't see the mask disappearing immediately. Maybe in a couple of years' time, but not immediately. But I'd much rather be on campus with a mask than at home without one, looking at a computer screen.
Yeah.
Larissa, but thank you very much. I mean, as I said, I'm going to give you off the rest of the afternoon so you can actually relax and do
I'm going to catch up on work.
Yeah, I tell you what, I mean, it's I feel exactly the same. And people say, oh, but that's nice. Now we get 20 minutes off. Now you get 20 minutes to do something different.
Yes.
This time of year, there's no such thing as time off. It's just something else. But no, thanks. Let me see. I'm going to stop the recording now. And